Thanks for stopping by at Twisted Art Designs. Today I just want to show my Edith Holden nature journal. It's kind of been a fad for a while now for people to make Edith Holden journals out of Edith Holden's books. And I just absolutely adore her books and wanted to do one myself. So what I'm doing here is not necessarily a tutorial, but to just show you what my process was and what I did to create mine. And this is how it looks. And so let's get started, and I'll just kind of show you my process in how I created this beautiful book. So I have 2 copies of The Country Diary by Edith Holden. So for this one, I took the spare one and I cut the book block out. So here are all the pages, and now I'm cutting the strings and I'm removing the pages. And then I'm splitting the pages in 2. Instead of keeping them folded and keeping them solid, I'm going to do a different kind of binding this time. So I'm splitting them along that edge. And then what I want to do, this page I love. This page has just writing, and I don't want that. So I'm going to take another page with a pretty image, and this will become some kind of a pocket page covering up that. I don't care about this. If I like that, I may keep that or photocopy it and use it later in the book. But what this is going to be is just pockets and things, and then I'm going to use information out of a different Edith Holden book. Like this information from the dust cover, I'm going to make a tag out of the photo of her and then the information about her life. And so those things are going to go in the pocket. It's going to be more of a Edith Holden kind of tribute journal than a journal that I write in or use for my own personal use. But I think that's how I'm going to do it. So when I put the 2 pages together and I decide that this is going to be the page that's going to be bound, then I'm probably going to sew this on my sewing machine across like that. I may even tear this edge rough, things like that, but I'm going to do all the sewing first before I do the binding, of course, and so that's going to be kind of fun to do too. But first I started by disassembling my book, and I'm removing all the pages, and then I'm going to use the images and the pages, and I love how thick they are, so they're going to be nice and strong pages in the book. So this is just an example of what I'm doing with the pages. So this page, I tore the edge roughly down the edge, and then I backed it with this page, and then I sewed it together with a zigzag stitch, kind of crazy, and then straight across the bottom. And then this edge, I just trimmed it nice and smooth and glued on a little bit of some lace that was very narrow, and it shows on both sides. And then on this side I used my yellow frog tape. This is delicate surface frog tape, and I put it on half the side and then folded it and put on that half the side. I'm going to be doing a binding with a slip stitch binding, and this is going to create a really nice strong edge for making those slip stitches so it won't pull through the page. Just made a top loading pocket page so I can stick something in the top, and this side is going to be the binding, so the page will get flipped like this. For this one, this was a single page and it had words up here, and I cut this page and just glued it across. I put some washi tape, and now it's just all greenery. Here's the edge that's going to get stitched. And another fun thing to do with these Edith Holden pages is to use colored pencils to bump up color. So on these beautiful flowers, you can tell that that's a white daisy, but using a white colored pencil to just bump up that color in the white just makes that flower really pop off the page. And this old paper is nice and thick, and it's got such a lovely texture to it that it really takes colored pencil well. So that's kind of fun to just go back in, and I'm not coloring the whole leaf, I'm just adding little highlights of white, but look at how pretty that makes it. And that upper page where it's a little half page makes a perfect little tuck spot. So that's going to be a really fun place to tuck something cute in there. So for this one, I tore the edge, and on this page that I'm backing it with, I want that to be the back page. I used some scraps of scrapbook paper that had these little tiny daisies and green, and I put that behind it. So I just used glue stick to glue it down here, and this is going to get sewn across here and across here, and it's going to make a slip-in pocket here. And so that's how that one's going to look. So here's what that looks like. It's stitched across the top and stitched across the bottom. Piece of scrapbook scrap in here. Here's your slip-in pocket to the side. The back side is this page. And here's my edge for doing the slip stitch. So now I'm binding my book, and I'm using the slip stitch binding. You can find a lot of videos on YouTube, so I'm not showing you how I'm doing it because there's over 400 videos on doing the slip stitch binding. This is what it looks like. It's really easy to do. So I used my Crop-A-Dial on the smallest setting to punch holes. I made a template and I punched holes into all the pages, and now I'm binding them together. So here is my cover put on. I finished my binding. I do love the slip stitch binding. It turned out really cool. And then I had the original cover to the book, but because of the slip stitch binding, it made the back too wide to put in the original cover, so I had to cut the cover apart and make a new spine to the book. So I did that. I made a new spine. I'm going to decorate my cover, but one thing I do love is look how flat your pages lay with that slip stitch binding. So it's fun and it's a process. It's a new learning experience, but I do like how this is turning out. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you my woes about this project, my sadness, my disappointment, my frustration. I've got the covers, they're glued on to the front page as I mentioned, so it's like perfect, and look at how beautiful the stitching lays. Love, love, love that. Oh, it's so great. Well, doing slip stitch stitching is fun and it's great, but look, see how this shifts? It's strings, so your book shifts. It doesn't stay solid. So then I tried to make a hard, solid piece to go on the back like this to connect it to these to make it more solid. Well, that was fine, except when I would open the book, these pages in the middle would shift forward. I think in the other clip you can see that. See how that shifts forward? So now you close it and your pages are all catawonky and sticking straight out the front. You have to kind of tap them into place. I don't like that. It's bugging me, and it's not perfect, and I'm a perfectionist in my art stuff. So after all this work, I took an entire day to punch all the holes, to do the stitching, to do all this. Oh Lord, spent a whole day. And like I said, I do love the stitching. Look at how pretty that looks, and I love how it lays flat, but I'm not keen on it being shifty like this. You can't stand it up straight like this, it falls down. You could stand it up on a table, splay it out like this, but then it's going to bend my pages. So, oh, people, do as I say or don't do what I do. I don't know what the saying is. I'm going to take scissors and I'm going to cut all these strings, and I am going to undo this whole thing that I spent a day doing and made this wonderful shifty book. And I'm going to do tab binding, and I'm disappointed. I think tab binding will look pretty, but tab binding won't be shifty. But I'm going to have to take these covers off, decorate the covers, and have them be done before I do the binding. And because you're still going to start at the back with the cover and work forward with your tabs. So I'll do tab binding and redo this whole thing, and then I'll come back and show you how it turns out. I pray that it turns out, because I've put a lot of time and effort, and it's heartbreaking to have disassembled a beautiful Edith Holden book, as I chose to do, and made all these pockets and beautiful pages, and I'm in love with the book, but I'm not going to just quit and give in. I just have to figure out a different way and change this. So there you go. Mistakes happen, so just wanted to show you my experience, and I'll redo this and then I'll show you what it looks like after I'm done. And I know we've all had projects that haven't gone as planned, so leave a comment in the comments below and let me know what was your failed project, and what project were you working on, and how did it go totally sideways. Leave a comment. Okay, it's disassembled. Sniff, sniff. Here's all my loose pages. All the strings have been cut and removed. So next I'm going to just take these covers off, and I'm going to decorate the covers. And then I'm going to go to the tab style of binding. I loved my stitches, but oh well, trying something different. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do first for my cover is I'm using some really cool vintagey looking lacy scrapbooking paper. I'm going to wrap this board, and then I'm going to do some cool collage stuff with Edith Holden images and things like that. So I'm going to wrap each one of these boards. And as I was doing this, I was Skyping and talking to my mom because we like to art together. And I used to teach scrapbooking at a scrapbook store and card making, rubber stamping techniques and things. And people would come in for the late night crops, and they'd be working on a scrapbook page, and they'd make a mistake, and they would get so upset that they made a mistake because, oh my gosh, my page is ruined, it's ruined, it's ruined. You totally get freaked out that I ruined it and I can't fix it. And what I've learned in my experience is that every time you do that and something you think is ruined and you change it, so you have to fix it. So if it's an art journal page and you have to slap some gesso over it or whatever you have to do to fix your mistake that you made because you don't like how it's going, you don't like how your page looks or whatever, when you change it and you add more layers, or you just cover it with something else, or you try a different technique on the top, or whatever it is that you do, it almost 100% of the time turns out better than the way you originally had it in the first place when you made the mistake and were unhappy. So to me, I guess what I'm trying to say is never despair when something goes wrong. Just keep working on it and try something else, and it'll turn out better than you even imagined. So don't give up on a project or throw it aside. I know even with the Julie Nutting altered book series that we're doing, some people have gotten frustrated. It's their first time doing an altered book, and they get very frustrated with the process, and they said, "Oh, I had to quit. I couldn't do it." And when you encourage them to keep going, and they keep going, they end up with these really beautiful pages, and they love what they did. So that's what I'm doing. Even though I pouted and I cried and I cussed a little bit like a sailor, I'm moving on, and I'm fixing it, and I'm trying something different, and hopefully the book will turn out even more beautiful than I imagined. So fingers crossed, let's see. So simply put, there's no such thing as a mistake. So here are my covers. I love how they turned out. I did just little snippets of photos that I shrunk and made different sizes from the images from the Edith Holden books. And then I distressed the edges and I put varnish over it. And I love how it turned out. So cute covers. I added this from the spine since I had to cut my book apart, so it still has the title on it. And that's what the front cover looks like. So I love the little collage, little pieces, little tiles. And then now I'm putting, I finished doing the binding in the, I don't know what you call it, the flat binding, the tab binding, tab style binding. So I did tab binding, but now just for fun, I'm covering the spine with a piece of corrugated cardboard. So I glued it on one side, and now I'm going to wrap it around and glue it on this side. And it's just going to make a little bit of a spine on the book. So the inside has a lace belly band with a card with a picture of Edith and the information from Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady. It slips in here. I did things like cut images and raise them, pop them up so they'd be three-dimensional. I did some punching along the edges of pages, decorated paper clips, Pockets, lots of pockets. Information from the book. Tags. That's a pressed pansy and a skeleton, leaf skeleton. So I put in some, oh, and some more flowers over here. I put in some actual dried flowers that I had pressed. Feathers, there's little feathers that are from my finches on the page with the bird eggs. And then things in the pockets, like tags with more information from the book. This cute flip book I made. It's like a double pocket flip book with papers in it. More raised flowers. Pockets at the end with papers in it. Three-dimensional bees. I stamped those using a rubber stamp. That was this rubber stamp and this rubber stamp. So I stamped the little ones just on the page and colored them with colored pencil. And the bigger ones I stamped on cardstock and I colored them and cut them out, fussy cut them out. I put a pop dot underneath it. I glued the wings down so that it would make it rounded on the page and look like real bees on the page. I love that. I love that so much. It looks so cute in person. So I added a lot of lace on the edges. There's a cute little tuck pocket up here. And then this, a little doily pocket filled with things and paper behind the lace pocket. This is kind of cute. This has got a little spinner tab and you spin it and it opens like this and it's a sunflower inside. And then you just use that little spinner to close it and keep it in place. And it's got a pocket behind it, so it's got tags and things tucked behind it. And the page is a pocket, so there's papers back here. Use tabs up at the top. Some are on the top, some are on the sides. I decorated with things like Nuvo drops. If you can see in the flowers, little Nuvo drops. This is a cute little corner piece that just is decorative. It sits up at the top. And then on this side, it's got little pockets to hold little tags. There's pockets in the pages. This is a belly band. I found this from someone on TikTok. If I can find who that is, I'll put it on here. So you make a paper, decorative paper piece, and then you turn it into a belly band and sew it. So I used a lot of butterflies and birds and things. It makes a really cute belly band. And then I just glued it top and bottom to the page and it holds the papers behind it. And this is, in the book, I kept in the names of the different birds. And here's a pocket I made out of a bird page and a cute tag with this cute chipboard piece that was made out of a napkin and embossed. And then this tab says birds, and I hung a bird and flower charm from it. And this is a pocket, so it's got card and info about Edith Holden and one of the houses she lived in. A lot of things I collaged little images onto the pages. Like this bird wasn't originally on this page and I added it. Here's a little corner pocket, another house that she lived in. Some cute papers. The list of wildflowers, I left that in because I loved the list of the names of flowers. There's a pocket page. Cute little tabs at the top with a bird. And this is cute. This is a paper clip, decorative paper clip that I made. And it's got a cute little tag hanging on it. But then this is a flip. So you've got little pockets here and a tag here. And then it flips and you have these cute pages and you have a tag here. And then this flip has a tag that goes this way and a pocket that goes this way. And then flips. It's got bees and images. And then I made a little doily corner pocket here for papers and things with a bird behind it. And then the page itself has a slit and it's got papers and a big tag in the back of the actual page. So when you close this all up, the paper clip on the page, the decorative paper clip holds the little flip book closed. And then it's got the butterfly part over here. I love that. It looks cute. I did some edging at the top and the bottom. Here's some leaves that are real pressed leaves. Here's a corner pocket with papers and things in it. I used washi tape and sticker images of bugs. Some lace. Here's a cute doily corner pocket filled with things. Butterfly paperclip tab. Another pocket. Pocket up here. Little tab with a dragonfly. So when I put the pages together from her book, because I rebound it, I just made things like these cute pockets and things out of pages, putting two pages together and gluing them into pockets. There's a cute bird page. I love bird pages. And this one's really cute. I made a collage and she had an image of birds that were in coconuts, using them as bird's nests, and I put embroidery floss through them for the strings. So they're the images out of the book, but then I changed the drawing strings into real strings. And that's pocket too, so that's got papers and things to tuck. This page, this is really cute. This was a drawing done by Edith in 1908, taken from a scrapbook that was then later made into an embroidery design. And in her book, it's plain black and white image. So what I did was to print it and color it myself. So I colored the image. And it's got this cute little frog. I put a frog hanging from it. And then I made some little corner little tucks to put that information and some things. And this page flips up to show that frog. I liked how that's cute. It's just something different. And this is her in her art studio. And then I made this cute little tuck out of that cute piece that's like a burlap doily. And then a little doily corner piece on the back page. And then the back of the book has got images as well. So that's my Edith Holden journal. I absolutely love it. I think it's the most favorite journal I've ever made. And at this point, I am not selling it. I'm keeping it for myself. And I'm just going to set it up on my coffee table in my living room just as a coffee table book to look at. So I hope you enjoyed this. So many people have made Edith Holden books. I know it feels really scary and harsh to destroy an Edith Holden book, but I didn't do it with an earlier publication. It was a reprint book from, I think, 1980, 1990, something like that. And I had 2 of them. So I have her books, and they are my favorite books. So I have a set of her books that I keep, and I will never destroy those books. I do photocopy some of the images to use in my book, not for selling, but just in my own journal. But then my mom did purchase a separate book for each of us, used book for us each to be able to make a journal out of. And so that's what I made this one out of. But it felt horrible to disassemble her book. But I guess my feeling on it is I disassembled it and I reassembled it in this manner where it's a really, really beautiful, beautiful piece to look at. So I do like how the binding turned out using the tab binding method. That was interesting and fun and a challenge, but I do love how it turned out. It lays really flat when you look at it. The pages lay super flat, and the back stays nice and flat too. So it's perfect. It turned out really well, and I love it, and I hope you enjoyed this too. And the people who are doing Edith Holden books, maybe this inspired you to do something you haven't tried. So go play and make art, because art soothes the heart.